Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is May 13th, 2024, and Barcelona just defeated Real Sociedad 2-0 with goals of Lamine Yamal and Rafinha in order to reclaim second place on La Liga table. This is the post-match live analysis. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is the post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end and where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering questions, and getting that discussion going. Now today is Monday, so it's of course podcast day, which is usually at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now it's 6 p.m. Obviously, the podcast is not going to happen at 6:30, but it will happen at 7. So we're still doing a podcast. This late Monday match kind of threw everything off. So we'll do the match analysis. Once it ends, we'll start the podcast around 7. I didn't want to start it right away just to give myself some time to prepare for it. So 7 p.m., we'll still do the live podcast, which is where I share Barcelona news with you lovely people. And I still get to interact with you. So I get to interact with you twice today. It's a great day. What a way to start the week. But anyways, don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and let's start with the match analysis because Barcelona just defeated Real Sociedad 2-0 at home in Montjuic with goals by Lamine Yamal in the first half and Rafinha in the stoppage time through a penalty kick. Now, what kind of match was it? Pretty boring one. Found myself plenty of times trying to almost fall asleep. Sometimes even getting distracted with my phone, texting and saying, Mo, stop it. You got to focus. You got a post-match live analysis you have to do. You have to watch the match. Otherwise, I'm going to sit here in silence. So overall, a boring match, a match with very low intensity on both sides. Both Barcelona and Real, I almost said Real Madrid, but Real Sociedad did not have the best of their performances. Of course, it's something we've come to expect from Barcelona, but I was surprised about Real Sociedad because they were a completely different team from the ones we faced off during the first leg when we visited them in their stadium. So completely different team. I was actually worried about this match because last match we won by pure miracle. That last final minute goal that we scored, even though Real Sociedad were much, much more superior to us. So I was worried about this match going into it, but to my surprise, Real Sociedad were completely a different team from the one we saw during the first leg. Of course, they did have a lot of injuries. We saw their starting lineup was not their usual starting lineup. So a boring match, very low-intensity match on both sides. As far as Barcelona, the same as what we've seen all season, very sluggish football, low-intensity football, highly predictable football. A team that simply does not create any danger or does not pose any danger with their constant side passes, back passes. A team that's very fragile in the midfield where in a split of a second can be seen overcome through long passes by the opposing team. So a lot of the same that we saw all throughout this season. But of course, we did get the victory. So that's the important thing. And I forgot to mention a team that every now and then they give you a flash of brilliance and you see what they're actually capable of. Because when we saw the first goal, that's the thing that I've always been talking about this whole season. When I always say Barcelona lack any kind of automatic passes or any kind of mechanized passes or any kind of fast transitions, that's exactly what I talk about when the first goal. Real quick, Lewandowski filters a pass to Gundogan pass to Lamine goal. 3 touches, 5 seconds, boom, you have yourself a goal. If Barcelona trained that during practices, just that, 1, 2, 3 touches, just real quick, you pass to one guy, the other guy passes to the other guy, boom, kicks. If you just keep practicing that over and over again, same play, you don't even have to change it up, same play, Lewandowski to Gundo to Lamine, and you just try it 3-4 times in a match, one of them is going to work out. And you might say, well, you can't keep repeating the same play. Yes, you can, because Real Sociedad kept repeating the same exact play. Long pass to Becker is his name. And he almost scored on us. One, he was offside. He scored and he was offside. There was another one where he sent it out flying. He missed. There's another one, I think, that Ter Stegen stopped. So, yes, you can try the same play over and over again, and it can work. So if we only did that play, the one that resulted in a goal 4 or 5 times a match, it's gonna work. But the problem is we don't practice that. We don't do that during the matches. We don't have any kind of quick transitions or any kind of automated passes, 1, 2, 3s, none of that. And it's sad because when the team does execute it, it works out to perfection, and we see that the team is capable of doing it. And if the team were to practice that, if the team were to execute that match after match, we would have much, much, much better results. But instead, we always revert back to the same old methodology, the shabby book of play, which is make side passes, and when in doubt, make a back pass and just hope for the best. Maybe the opposing team will, one of their defenders will mess up and maybe an opening will be created. Maybe, hopefully, we don't know. Or we can always count on that last-minute penalty kick. And if we're not awarded that last-minute penalty kick, then we'll just cry about it in a press conference, talk about how La Liga is rigged and how the referees hate us. But overall, like I said, boring match, very low-intensity match. But Barcelona got the job done. Of course, the silver lining of all of this is what you're seeing on your screen. We are back to second place, which was very, very important. Girona had dropped points against Alaves, so this was our chance to reclaim the second spot. We did. We are right now with 76 points to Girona 75. Also, mathematically speaking, we are in the Champions League. It's official. Even if we lose every single match, there's only 3 matches left, but even if we lose every single one of them, we're still going to be in the Champions League. So I guess that's good, right? I don't know. Positive. And second place, you might say, well, why do we care about second place? Well, we do care because we have to finish in second place, financially speaking. Finishing in second place qualifies us to the Spanish Super Cup. That's 6 million euros to Barcelona automatically next season. It also means an extra 7.5 million euros from TV rights from La Liga. So if we finish third, we lose those 7.5. Second place, we get those 7.5. So that's 14 million euros on the line that Barcelona need. So it's important to finish second. Not so much from the sporting perspective, because, of course, sporting perspective, this season is an absolute mess. It's a disaster. It's a failure. We're ending the season trophyless. But financially speaking, we need to finish second. And financially speaking, it would be a win. Anyways, that's kind of like my overall feelings about the match. We'll talk more about the lineup. We'll talk about the players. We'll talk about that interesting VAR call, which they did get it right, but what, took 4 or 5 minutes? I don't know what's going on with Spanish refereeing. But anyways, let's do the chat section first. I see a lot of people comment. So let's see what you guys are saying. And Babu B, my man, says finally a decent win. Also, when Lewandowski was subbed off and they showed him on the bench, he looked like a man deep and thought about his future or just pissed about his contract. I did see that image. He was sitting there holding. Looked like it was chocolate milk. I hope not, because chocolate milk is actually bad for you. It's delicious. I drink it all the time. But I don't know if I would if I was an athlete. Thankfully, I'm not, so I do get to, eat crap. Jacob says, I can't believe we're settling for this. With Barcelona, it's just not about winning. How we win is vital. We are Barcelona, damn it. Jacob, my man, thank you. 100% thank you for this line, because I've been saying this all season, and people just kept calling me toxic. It's not about winning. It's how we win. Thank you. 100% thank you. That is at the essence of the Barcelona philosophy, of the Barcelona DNA, of Cruyffism, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's at the heart of it. It's not just about winning. It's how we win. That's why last season I kept coming up on here complaining about the team. And people were like, Mo, you're toxic. Shut the fuck up. We just won. Or shut the fuck up. We just won La Liga. What are you complaining about? And I kept saying, it's not about winning. It's about how we win. And the way we were winning was awful. Just simply awful. Parking the bus, holding on for dear life, and just getting a lucky last-minute goal. That's how we were winning, and that's not what Barcelona DNA is about. I kept saying that, but people just would not get it. Because here's the thing. I'm not too interested in the results. I'm interested in how we get those results. If I was only interested in the results, I wouldn't watch matches. Why would I waste 90 minutes of my day when I could be doing something else? All I would do, just look up the result, right? Barcelona versus Real Sociedad. Oh, 2-0. Cool. We won. Done. Right? But it's not about winning. It's about how we win. And we were winning horribly last season. And therefore, this is why we're doing horribly this season too. Because when you cannot play good football, when you have no strategy or system of play in place, it eventually catches up with you. And that's exactly what's happened this season. I warned about it since last season. Nobody listened because we won La Liga. I kept warning about it this season. Nobody listened because they said I was a hater and toxic. And look where we at. Bumblebee says we also need to really start taking first-time shots at goal in the 18-yard box instead of making not needed extra passes. I think it's killing our possible season goal differential. I agree. I think that's more maturity issue. You know, we saw Lamine Yamal do that a lot. You know, with time, he'll get better about making that final decision, you know, when to shoot, when you're supposed to shoot versus when to pass, when you're supposed to pass. Because there was a couple of times where Lamine got the ball and he could have easily shot it right away, but instead decided to take that extra step or that extra nutmeg or that extra, dribble, and it was unnecessary and he would end up losing it. That will come with time. Rafinha does that a lot. Unfortunately, with Rafinha, I don't think it's ever going to get fixed. He's 27 years old. He's, in his prime. What you see is what you get. And, Lewandowski, what can I say about Lewandowski? He's 35, so. FC Barcelona fan channel says, Mo, I'll be holding on grudges against Vitor if he asks for a permanent transfer. I still think Ferran Torres is getting more preferential treatment because he was Xavi's first signing. I don't think Ferran is getting preferential treatment. Ferran has barely played this season. I know a lot of people keep accusing Xavi of doing that. I don't think so. Ferran did not play much last season. He's not playing much this season. Barcelona tried to sell him last summer. He wouldn't leave, so he ended up staying. Plus, it wasn't in the best interest of Barcelona to sell him because had they sold him, they would have registered a loss. A loss makes your financial fair play calculation even worse. So I don't think he's getting any preferential treatment. He is being chosen over Roque, but that just means that Xavi thinks that Ferran is in a better position to play. And, I don't see it as a crazy thing, not because I think Ferran is talented. I've always said Ferran is not Barca level, but I can see why Xavi would prefer Ferran over Roque. Roque has just arrived from Brazil. He's never played in La Liga. Ferran has played. He played in Valencia for several seasons. He played in Manchester City. Now he's been in Barcelona for almost 3 seasons. So, to have someone who's established in first division football in Europe versus someone who just arrived, you can see why Xavi would prefer Ferran over Roque. Again, I'm not saying that Ferran is great. I've always said that he's not Barca level, but, I don't think it's a crazy thing that Xavi right now prefers Ferran over Roque. But I wouldn't call it preferential because, we've seen Ferran has barely gotten any minutes this season and the last season too. Quarantine says Barcelona's not serious. They want to let go of Vitor Roque. I'm going to talk about that in the podcast, so I'm not going to touch on Vitor Roque too much because that's coming up. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're still having the podcast. FC Barcelona fan channel says, Mo, only one thing gives me hope for next season is the Spotify Camp Nou. Old Trafford roofs were leaking waterfalls yesterday. I guess we're better than them. Yes, I'm very excited to see the Spotify Camp Nou. Of course, it's not going to have the roof. The roof is going to be the last thing they're going to put, but and it's going to be only at 60% capacity, but I am very excited for the stadium too. Anyways, let's get back and talk about the match. Let's look at the lineup. Oh, let's do this first. All right, there we go. This is the lineup that Xavi Hernandez chose. Ter Stegen in goal with Pau Cubarsí and Íñigo as center backs. Íñigo getting a start over Ronald Araujo. It seems that Araujo's not injured. Simply Xavi decided to give him a break because we do have a series of back-to-back matches. We have Almeria on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, followed by, God, what's the other game we have left? Celta Vigo? Anyways, that's coming up in the weekend. So we have 2 more matches this week. So he decided to rest Ronald Araujo and start Íñigo Martínez. Of course, Pau Cubarsí usually plays on the left when Araujo's on the right. But when Íñigo plays, since he's a left center back, Pau Cubarsí moves to the right. Koundé and Joao as our right backs, Christensen in that pivot position with Pedri and Gundogan as our 2 interiors. Lewandowski is our center forward with Lamine and Rafinha on the wings. Now, as far as the player's performance, Ter Stegen, not much work that he had to do, so not much to say there in that department. As far as our center backs, Inigo, I think he had a complete match. I wouldn't say it was an excellent, amazing match, but at the end of the day, our center backs didn't have much work either because Real Sociedad weren't really creating that much danger. But Inigo, you always get what you expect from Inigo, which is a solid match. I think I very much like Inigo. He's a great center back. He's always done a wonderful job. Unfortunately, he has been hindered by injuries a lot this season. But whenever he has gotten a chance to play, he's always done a good job. I mean, he's been top 5 CBs in La Liga for a very long time. So whenever he's on the field, I'm not worried. Pau Cubarsí, he did have a few mistakes, 2 or 3 mistakes, but overall was still a good match besides those mistakes. So what can you expect? We can't really criticize the guy too much. I think it's just the lack of experience that those 2-3 mistakes were. Of course, he's 17 years old. He just started playing with the first team. But besides those 2-3 mistakes, he still had a pretty solid match. Kunde, as always, solid in the right back position, or at least since the new year. I don't understand why he doesn't want to start there. So I don't know. If I was him, I would want to be playing there all the time because we definitely his better position. I think he's a better right back than he is a center back. And Joao Cancelo, Cancelo doing his own thing as always, kind of playing in his own game, his own match. He's very good offensively. Defensively, don't count on him. But even when he's playing offensively, he always seems to be just doing his own thing. He kind of like marches to his own drum, which that's usually good in life. But I don't know if that's a good thing in a team sport. But anyways, no grave mistakes from Joao Cancelo. Nothing to really say anything negative about it. Decent match as well. Christensen in the pivot. I don't know why SofaScore has given him a 6.7. I thought he was solid. Whenever Christensen is on the field, is always a blessing because he definitely gives balance to the squad. He's not necessarily that defensive midfielder who's gonna give you those long filtered passes that's gonna break lines and create chances, but he is defensively incredibly solid. Of course, he is a center back. He's always been defensively solid when he was a center back. So I'm not too surprised that he's that good in the midfield as well. Definitely gives you a lot of that extra defensive edge that we were missing in the midfield. And whenever Christensen is playing in that position, I think it gives the team a lot more balance. And speaking of the fact that is not necessarily a Busquets who's going to give you those long passes, did you guys see the pass that he gave to Rafinha at the beginning of the second half? Even before he was before the middle of the field line, he sees Rafinha making a run. He gives him a pass with the edge of his boot, the exterior edge of his boot, and puts it right at Rafinha's feet, who unfortunately loses the ball in the most silliest way. The defender takes it away from him like taking candy from a kid. But what a pass from Christensen. And I'm starting to see more and more of those passes. They don't come that often, but when they do, you see that maybe Christensen is also capable of giving you that offensive edge that perhaps he was lacking this whole time because, of course, he's always been a defensive player. But if he can develop that too, I mean, we have ourselves a decent option for the pivot position because he is already great defensively. And if he can start giving you that offensive side of it, why not? Now, I wouldn't necessarily say he should be the starting pivot forever, but definitely a great option to have to alternate with whoever you're going to bring for the pivot. Well, anyways, that's my 2 cents about Christensen. We'll talk more about more players, but let's get back to the chat section to see what you guys are saying. Let's see. FC Barcelona fan channel says they look at Anthony's face when he was being subbed on. And Hamza says, with good squad planning, this team can improve drastically. We need a top-class pivot, a left wing that can take on players in different areas of the pitch, and a striker that can attack space if Vitor leaves. I agree with you, my friend. I think we have the base of the team. Yeah, we don't have a complete squad yet, but we have the base that we could work with, right? We have the foundation, if you may, to work with. Now we just need a few more additions, and I think we can have a complete squad. And then with a proper coach that knows what to do with that proper squad, we can have a competitive team. I'm not saying, we can be winning trebles every season, but we should be doing better than what we're currently doing. Let's see. Riley says they lack that fighting mentality. Maybe when Gavi comes back, he will implement it with the players. Look, the person whose job should be to implement the fighting mentality, it should be the coach. Sure, it does help to have players like Gabi because it's contagious. You're on the field, you see your teammate over here busting his ass, he's running up and down, and he's giving it his all. You're gonna want to pick it up too because you're gonna feel bad. You're like, oh man, this guy's making me look bad, right? So that obviously helps. But the main guy who should be doing that, implementing the mentality, is the coach, and it should not be by announcing he's resigning. It should not be by some meetings at the players' houses. It should be day after day during practices. That's how you implement a winning mentality. But anyways, Zizo says, I was behind goal for that Yamal goal, and he came and celebrated with us. Wow, that's pretty cool. I hope you took a lot of pictures or a video, but that's pretty awesome, man. That's a really cool experience. What a goal, by the way. Just the whole play, the way Lewandowski sees Gundo and makes that pass as a center forward, and then the way Gundo passes the ball between the defender's leg to Lamine, and the way Lamine finishes. What a goal. Papa says, Mo, I think the team has a big problem finishing the attack. We had more than 8 goal-scoring chances today, but scored 1 effectively. Definitely a problem as well. But that's why it happens when you have your players improvise. When you don't have really a scheme in place for how players should move the ball, how players should pass, how players should run and position themselves without the ball, that's what's going to happen. Your players are going to improvise, and when improvisation happens, there's a big chance of missing, because modern football is no longer about improvisation. Before, you would just put 11 players on the field and let them do whatever, and it would work. Modern football is not like that anymore. Modern football is planned down to the T, and when you don't have a coach that knows how to plan down to the T, these things happen. Moby says, feel sorry for Vitor. Xavi said after the match there's a lot of competition and that he needs to be better. Yeah. My thing about Vitor, and I'll talk about more about this in the podcast, my problem is that how the club handled the signing, where they signed him as the star or the future star of the team, and how they brought him early. That's my problem with it. I don't have a problem. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't care about Vitor Roque not starting, because at the end of the day, you sign players, you try them out, and if the player does not work out, you have to get rid of them. We don't owe anything to anyone. When people are like, oh, this guy, I can't believe we're treating him like that. What do you mean? This is a football team. This is not a charity. We're not here to give minutes away because we feel bad for players or because we owe players something. We don't, right? If you're good enough, you'll start. If you're not good enough, you need to leave, right? It's simple as that. So as far as if Xavi doesn't think Roque is good enough, then we don't owe him anything. The problem is how the club handled it. Saying, oh, Vitor is going to be the future. He's going to come and alternate with Lewandowski, and then, he'll take the place of Lewandowski, and he's so great. We're going to bring him even before. We're supposed to bring him in the summer. Now we're going to bring him in January. That's my problem with the whole handling of the situation. Had we just signed him just like any other player, brought him to the club, and then realized, oh, this guy sucks, I wouldn't feel bad, because, I don't feel bad about Ferran not playing because he sucks, right? We don't owe him anything. But it's just the way how the club handled it. But again, and this is a very important point because I see this being talked a lot, not just about Vitor, but other players. This is a football team at the end of the day. This is not a charity. We're not here to give players minutes because we feel good about them or because we owe them something or because they're so nice or because they have a cute smile. No. Here, it's FC Barcelona. You earn your spot. If you can't earn it, there's the door. But anyways, I'll talk more about that in the podcast. Kill Bill Matt says, I didn't watch any matches since they announced that Xavi's staying. Seems like it was the right decision. It was a bad match again, despite they won. It wasn't a horrible match. There have been a lot worse matches. It was a decent match. But, it was still low intensity, low energy, predictable performance. But Barcelona did a job, scored 2 goals, and we're back in second. Okay, let's get back to the lineup, because we have to talk about the last 5 players that we didn't talk about, which is Pedri. Pedri played in a more deep position this match around. Usually is Gundo who stays a little bit more back, and Pedri's freed up to kind of make those runs forward. And this time it was kind of the opposite, where Gundo was pushing more forward and Pedri stayed more in a deep position. Doesn't look like that's a good position for Pedri, because his match was not the best. It was very discreet match. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a discreet match for Pedri. So I don't think the staying deep is really his place or his favorite place. I think he's more of someone who you need to set loose so he can push forward. Gundogan, decent match too. I wouldn't say he was his best. He did get a yellow card, so it means that he will miss next match, because that is his 5th. So he will miss the match against Almeria, but he will be back for the following one. Lewandowski, great first half by Lewy. Second half, not so much. He kind of disappeared. But first half, really good first half by the Polish striker. Extremely active and consistently combining with his teammates, which is something that you're not really used to seeing Lewy. As your classic center forward, as a typical center forward. He's more of a finisher. But this match, we're constantly seeing him drop to the midfield to grab the ball, passing it to his teammate, combining with his teammates, running back up to the opposing side. Very active. And of course, the first goal was mostly thanks to him. That pass that he does from the midfield to Gundogan was absolutely brilliant. It's not something I would expect a center forward to be able to pull off. The way he broke the line, so many lines with his pass. I mean, it was absolutely brilliant. Second half, he kind of disappeared. So I think that's why Xavi took him out, which I'm very happy that finally Xavi had the courage to take him out, because he had definitely, slowed down, which of course it's understandably so. He is 36 years old. You cannot expect him to run the way he was running the first half for the entire 90 minutes. It's impossible. So I'm glad that Xavi noticed that Lewandowski had gotten tired, subbed him off, brought in Ferran. Rafinha, I don't know if I would give him an 8.1. I think that's a little too high. I did like that Rafinha was having the courage of taking those shots from outside the box. That was very refreshing. I think we've been lacking that a lot from the whole team the entire season. So it was very nice to see Rafinha taking those shots. And there were some pretty dangerous shots too. One of them hit the post. It's unfortunate he didn't make it. I think that would have been one hell of a goal. I really liked his shots. Lots of danger. I think Rafinha should do that a lot more often. He obviously is very capable of getting those shots out from outside the box and putting, enough danger on him. So I think he should keep trying more of that, because they were definitely effective. And then, of course, we come to Lamine Yamal, the MVP of the match, the one who scored the goal. This guy is just, what can I say, guys? What can I say? Lamine Yamal he's just imperial. He's just on another level. He's 16 years old, and this guy is fearless. He attempts everything. He attempts dribbles. He attempts passes. He attempts crosses. He takes shots at the goal. I mean, he just does it all. And he's only 16 years old. He does have a little bit of problem with his final decision making. Sometimes he takes that extra step that it's unnecessary, but that will come with experience. He's only 16. He's absolutely a beast, and we're very lucky to have him with us. Anyways, let's do a few more comments, but let's mention real quick, what was up with that VAR call? I mean, it was 100% correct. That was a handball, it was a penalty kick. But it took the VAR 5 minutes until they finally realized. I mean, I don't know if they were running on DSL or if they were like telegraphing it to the ref on the field, like tuck, 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 tuck. And 5 minutes later, they're still fucking hitting those buttons. And it's like, hey, by the way, there's a handball. That was insane. I mean, I think if one of them ran down to the field and told the ref, would have been a lot faster than whatever the hell they did. But anyways. All right, Zizo says, Pau against Beckham was not smart. Pau is not at his level physically and could have cost us with Girona dropping points. It should have been Araujo. Pau then rest Araujo next game. Good point. He was, but to be fair to Kouarsi, he was only overcome 2 times, I think, 2 or 3 times. But besides that, he was pretty solid. Let's see. Chama Staff says, I don't know what happened to Xavi. He started well. The pressure turned him to Koeman 2.0. Hope he finds himself now that he's staying. He has been acting like Joao Felix. He did start off well that first half season that he started. But, and I don't want to take credit away from him, but statistically speaking, whenever a team gets a new coach, right when they get a coach, they get a little bump in performance. That always happens. And then from there, it just depends on the coach. They either take a dip or they keep. Well, usually there is a dip, and then if the coach is good, then they'll start rising again. Or if the coach is bad, they just keep dipping. But statistically speaking, whenever a team gets a coach, they always have a bump in performance. I don't know what it is. It hasn't been explained to me. I've seen the charts. I don't know if it's just the players getting motivated. They're like, yeah, we got a new coach. Woo! I don't know what it is, but anyways. Charcuté says, Mo, thank you for providing us with the news, and our board, our management are not serious about signing players, especially young stars. That's not true. We've signed a lot of good young stars. We brought in Mika Fai, we brought in Noah Darvic. We're signing those two, I forgot their names, but the two former Real Madrid Academy players who they're going to be joining us in the summer. Diarra's on the plan as soon as he turns 18. We're trying to sign, what's his name? Hold on. The fullback. He'll turn 18 this summer. I think Chelsea is going to beat us to him. They have more money. I don't think that the board is not serious about signing youngsters. If anything, we've done a really good job signing youngsters. What we haven't done a good job with is signing older players, like fully developed players. That's where we have fucked up, right? Signing people like Rafinha, people like Ferran, like Romeo, Alonso. That's where we fucked up. The youngsters have actually done a great job, Plus, let's not forget, we talk about La Masia producing these young talent and being amazing at it. But where do you think these young talent come from? They're not born in La Masia. They're not just. Barcelona doesn't have like big room of like 100 women, and they're just popping babies, and then they're turning the babies into stars. No. Barcelona has to find these kids, sign them to La Masia, and then develop them. These are they're not dropping from the sky. So Barcelona are doing a great job signing young players. It's actually the adult players, the ones we are messing up. All right, let's see. What else? Joshua says, how I wish Xavi can give Vitor Roque same opportunity given to Ferran. I don't know. Something must not be right. That's the thing. If Xavi's not starting Roque, it's because he's seen something in practice that is not convincing him. So, I don't know. And it's not like Xavi shies away from starting youngsters, because we know that's not true. He started Lamine, Pau, Hector Ford, Margiu. He started Fermin. He gave him a chance. He started a lot of youngsters. So we know that Xavi's not shying away. If he's not starting Roque, it's because he's seeing something that's not there. Again, which is fine. My problem is how the club handled the signing from the beginning. That's where my problem lies. FC Barcelona fan channel says, yes, it's true. Xavi gives time to young players, but does he deserve all the credit? Rafa Marquez gets massive credit on the Masia gems. He helps to adapt them. Of course. Rafa Marquez deserves his credit too, because he's doing a great job with Barca Athletic, helping hone this team. And it's not just Rafa Marquez. It's all the coaches under him too. The Juvenil A coach, the Juvenil B coach, the Cadete A, the Cadete B. All these coaches that these youngsters go through, they all deserve credit. But so does Xavi. Because at the end of the day, Xavi's the one who decides to give them an opportunity with the first team, right? Because you can go through all these coaches in your academy and be great and be amazing, and then you make it to the first team, and the coach could be like, sorry, I'm not giving you an opportunity. Anyways. And Damien says, are you seriously defending Xavi regarding Roque? Yeah, I am. Like I said, the one mishandled in this whole situation is not Xavi, it's the club. Because, look, at the end of the day, Xavi is the coach, and it's the coach who decides who he plays and who he doesn't. And if Xavi's not starting Roque, it's for a reason. It means that he's seeing something in practice that's not lacking. So, yeah, I am defending him when it comes to that because, like I said, this is a football team. This is not a charity. We don't owe players anything. Well, except the money. We got to pay them the salary. But we don't owe players anything. You either prove yourself to your coach and your coach starts you, or you don't. We cannot give minutes because we feel bad about someone. Oh, my God, look at this guy. He looks sad. Let me give him some minutes. That's not how it works. So if Xavi's not starting Roque, it's for a reason. The problem is how the club handled the whole signing. The problem is the lack of coordination between Deco and Xavi, where Deco wanted Roque and Xavi didn't. That's where the problem is. The problem is the fact that the club brought him early on. They were like, oh, he's so great, we're bringing him early on. And then this happens. Right now they're talking about loaning him or whatever. It's how the whole thing has been handled. Not the fact that Xavi is not choosing Roque to start, right? I mean, are you mad that Xavi is not choosing to start Iñaki Peña? No, because he thinks Ter Stegen's better, and he is, right? If he's not elected to start Roque, it's because he thinks that Lewandowski and even Ferran are doing better in practice. And that's the coach's prerogative. Anyways. All right. I think that is it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, everything. Remember, podcast is starting in 21 minutes, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to start the podcast where we're going to do Barcelona news. And I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section. I get to interact with you guys twice today. Twice. How amazing is that? Best fucking day. What a great way to start the week. Anyways, thank you guys. I will see you in 21 minutes. And of course, I cannot end this without saying Visca Barça.